it's me again, and I have a brand new addition to my pinball playroom, and that is none other than Freddy, A Nightmare on Elm Street. This is a pinball machine that I've been wanting for a long time. It just so happened to turn out where I arranged a trade with somebody, and what used to be sitting here was NASCAR. And I traded evenly for NASCAR for Nightmare on Elm Street, which I've been wanting a Nightmare on Elm Street ever since I got Whirlwind back in the days. So I was real happy to get a hold of this one. But I just wanted to make a video to show everybody that this is my new machine, even though Star Trek is still not finished. I think I might know what's the matter with Star Trek. I think. So hopefully I can do some magic and get it to going. It's just everything powers on, like the flippers and everything. I think it has to do something with the opto control board, the optical sensor, because I think everything's firing because the optical circuit is messed up. So I think I have to replace a chip in the board. But nonetheless, to a machine that does work, Freddy, A Nightmare on Elm Street. I really love the art design of the table. You see a lot of neat things, like in the center of the play field, they have a, like a column almost, kind of like from Dream Master, the fourth one. And it's very reminiscent of that art. You also got the junkyard on the side, and no screaming while the bus is in motion. Love that. I like Freddy up here on the playfield where it shows him like a skeleton form, which I don't really think, like, did they do that in the movies? I can't remember a movie that they did that in. What looks to be Nancy in the bathtub. Can't tell if that's Heather or not. Let me look. It looks a lot like Heather Langenkamp. So I would say that's definitely trying to be her or something. And then you got this big head at the top. I'm not sure who that's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be Freddy, but if it was like a Chinese ripoff of Nightmare on Elm Street machine, if this was like Bone Busters to Ghostbusters, I would understand the head. Because the head is just, it's I don't know. If this wasn't officially a licensed Nightmare on Elm Street by New Line Cinema, made by Gottlieb, I would understand the head. Like if it was just a knockoff of a Nightmare on Elm Street series, and you could tell. Kind of like Bone Busters is with Ghostbusters. But this one, it's just, it's so bad it's good in a way. You get used to it. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm an owner of this machine, and I don't want to think bad things about it, but I love it. So anyhow, the man, he was more of the person I traded with, he was more of a sports fan, he said. So he brought it to me, actually, because I was trying to arrange to, like, rent a van to actually go pick it up because it was kind of raining around the time. And I said, man, a van's expensive. I think U-Haul, it was like 69 cents per mile plus like $200 for the rental fee or whatever. And I just don't have a van to go get it. But he agreed to actually bring me Freddy, which I was shocked because I was the one who initiated the deal. He was looking to trade Freddy. And I saw that and I was like, what would I be willing to trade him? I like NASCAR. I'm not watching NASCAR, I've never really watched it, to be honest. I'm not a huge sports fan. This is something that is more in line, in my liking. is Nightmare on Elm Street. Even though NASCAR is a newer table made by Stern, it's a fine table, and the bad part about it was it is a Pat Lawler table, and I'm a big Pat Lawler fan. I got Whirlwind, Earthshaker, and I think that's all. Yeah. Oh, Ripley's Believe It or Not, and that's my Pat Lawler collection. So I had to let one go with NASCAR, but it's finding a good home to somebody who was going to take care of it, as I will with Freddy, because there's a few little things that I've noticed already that I need to replace. The flipper at the top here, the third flipper, it does have a crack in it, and I'm going to have to get a new flipper bat for that, which I'll do. The drop targets, they are missing the decal on them. I believe they're gone. So I'll have to replace those, which that's no big deal. I think Steve Young sells those, which I'll place an order with him soon. It does have a little wear spot where the ball comes out here. The glove, he told me, had been redone. So the glove has already been fixed with the reproduction, which is great, because I hear the original breaks pretty easily. Or, well, after time. The claw down here, the claw save, it has some claws that comes up and actually saves your ball, because there's another flipper button over here. Well, not a flipper button, but a button beside the flipper that activates the claw, and it pops the ball back up. If you're going to drain, you have to spell claw to activate that. But yeah, I love it. The scenario, you go by nightmares. You have the first nightmare, second nightmare, third nightmare, all the way up to 7. Which around when this came out, Freddy's Dead was the movie that was out. So it kind of goes in line with that. 7 movies. Now wait a minute. Okay, because there's 5 and then Freddy. So there's only 6 Nightmare on Elm Streets at the time. So strike that. I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, what I've played of it, I've really enjoyed. Some of the classic Freddy lines are in here. And one thing that my buddy brought up to me, because he actually says it in this, my buddy Scotty, he said, now you're playing with power. And he was like, I'm wondering if they had to get that approved with Nintendo, because that was Nintendo's slogan, you know. And Gottlieb was making the Nintendo tables, the Super Mario table and the little Super Mario table. They were making those at the time, so maybe they were in good with them. And New Line Cinema, they did make the Super Mario movie. Maybe if that was already released, I don't know, I'd have to check the timelines on that. If Super Mario Brothers, the movie, was released after, you know, if they would have been good with New Line Cinema. But anyhow, New Line Cinema, they're Warner Brothers now anyhow, aren't they? So. But yeah, really love the game. But to enable a nightmare scenario, you have to do the skill shot at the beginning. There's the boiler up here that has the flap, that the door that shuts and opens, not a flap. And you have to shoot the ball into the boiler, and that will instantly start one of your nightmare scenarios. I couldn't be happier with the trade. It worked for the both of us. He was a NASCAR, well, a sports fan, he said, and I'm a big horror fan. So now all we need is a Friday 13th table. There's a Tales from the Crypt table, and there's a Phantom of the Opera table. But as far as I know, all that I can think of, okay, Twilight Zone, if that counts. But for like 80s slasher movies, there's no Halloween table, there's no Friday 13th table, there's no Hellraiser table, there's no, I think Phantasm would make a perfect pinball table, but there's none of those. So Freddy's the only thing you really got. Because Phantom of the Opera, it wasn't like a series that went on and on and on. It was just different movies made by different companies at various times. So, and Tales from the Crypt is probably the closest that I would associate to a horror movie fan who would be into Freddy. You know, but I love the theme. So, this is my new addition to my game room, and I couldn't be happier about it. So, anyhow, I'll see you around. Thanks for listening to me. I think I'll play some Freddy.
Ready?